Welcome back to the item shop. A couple of weeks ago, I was reached out to by Red Art Games who wanted to work together on a upcoming couple of releases of theirs. I wasn't really super familiar with Red Art Games at the time, so I went ahead and did some research into them, and turns out they're a small publisher based out of France, and they specialize in bringing indie RPGs and other indie titles into the real world with their physical releases. They've handled some physical releases of some games that I'm already familiar with, and they're working on the upcoming physical release of Evoland Chronicle Rising, which is pretty exciting to me. But before doing a sponsored video for them, I kind of wanted to get a feel for Red Art Games as a company, the stuff that they make, and the quality of the things that they put into their releases. After all, if I'm going to tell you guys that you should probably buy something from a company, I want to first make sure that it's a good deal, and that the company is legit, and that it gets my SuperDerek seal of approval. So, Red Art Games have actually sent to me a couple of mystery boxes of releases that they're proud of and represent some of the quality of their work. I'm not being paid to make this video, and my opinions are going to be my own here, and Red Art Games are not seeing this video before it goes live. However, they did send these boxes to me for free, so I've marked the video as paid promotion in accordance with YouTube's guidelines. So with all of that said, let's take a look at what they've sent me and get familiar with Red Art Games. Open. Alright. So in the interest of saving some time, I think I'm going to fast forward through some of this because it's not really so much about finding out about what the games were that they sent to me. That's a fun thing to do for sure, is to find out, what they sent, but really the whole point of this whole video was not just to see what they've made, but to see the quality of the things that they made, and to inspect the actual physical releases themselves, and let the quality kind of speak for itself. And this video has like over an hour of raw footage, and I don't think we're gonna just sit and watch all of that, so I hope you don't mind if I smooth things along just a little bit here. Oh, wow. Okay. We've got Arietta of Spirits Collector's Edition. The Red Edition from Red Art Games. I'm super curious about this. This is... they got on the back the original Nintendo seal of quality. Okay. Wow. Okay, I can't wait to open this up and see kind of like what is going on, because it's not just about necessarily for Red Art Games. Like I'm assessing these not necessarily based on like the games themselves. I want to take a look at the physical releases, and so they've done something really special with Arietta of Spirits with this release. It feels and looks like kind of an old Super Nintendo RPG release, which is perfect because the game itself is a retro-inspired indie RPG. And we're definitely going to open that up as well and check that out. And then they sent me this, and this is something that's been really awesome to me because I know a lot of you guys already know this, but I am absolutely a huge fan of vinyls. And they have vinyls on their online store, and so they've sent me what looks like a separate box just for the vinyls, which is a good idea. The box got a little mangled in shipping, but let's see if it was enough to protect the vinyls. I mean, it's not really mangled. It was post office probably dropped it on a corner, but I mean that's going to happen in shipping regardless. So it's good to find out what kind of care was taken during shipping and ensuring that these arrived in good shape. And on the topic of shipping and the state in which things arrived, I can say that things were actually packed really nicely. Sure, there was that ding on the box that contained the vinyls, but all of the vinyls actually arrived in pretty good shape, and I had no issues getting any of them to play. All of the games actually also arrived in really solid condition. They were packed really nicely. None of them suffered from any sort of like crushing that can sometimes occur if you stuff a bunch of games into a single package. Bubble wrapped care was definitely taken, extra boxes within boxes to help protect the extra special edition of Arietta of Spirits. So overall, shipping and handling quality seems very solid. So first impression, sounds like the disc is still in the retaining clip inside the case, which is really nice. Means that the case itself hasn't let go of the disc in shipping, which does sometimes happen. Scaffold, let's take a look. And that is, in fact, still in place. In great shape. On the inside here of the case, we just have some warnings, disclaimers, things of that nature. No manual is included in this one. That's all right. It's kind of the case for a lot of these. Yeah, that's a really nice quality print. Let's take a look at Relayer now. And this one has a PS5 upgrade available, which is pretty awesome. That's something that I feel is super handy for PS4 games at this point. Red Art Games' physical release of the Katakawa strategy RPG. Again, it's held in place, hasn't slid around, locked in, loaded. So the disc itself is nicely protected. The case itself is in great shape still as well. You know, no signs of being crushed in shipping. It's looking really nice. And now this was one that I was super interested in when I first pulled it out, because I mentioned that it had a bit of heft to it. And I was very curious about what it could be that added to that additional weight here. Because that's the other thing, is that Red Art doesn't only make game discs. You know, they've got the vinyls. I've seen that some of their games come with soundtracks, and I'm wondering if that might be what's in here, adding to the additional weight. Light Fairy Tale Episode 1. Yes, indeed, it does have the Light Fairy Tale original soundtrack disc here. Let's take a look at this. That is a pressed disc. You can see that has held up very well over the course of its trip here to the United States. This one also arrived with a manual. This was also something I wanted to take a look at as well. Get a feel for the quality of the manuals that they would include. Because, like I said before, a lot of games are shipping out without any manuals at this point, no art books. So this is really less of a manual and more of a mini art book. Oh, and it's got a track list for the included soundtrack. This is exactly the sort of thing I wanted to take a look at. That is a really nice attention to detail. This is how I wish more games arrived. I'm guessing there's probably no soundtracks included in the Nintendo Switch games, but I still want to see kind of what is in each of these. So, you know, the collector in me is screaming, don't open all of those, but I just gotta see. I gotta see how these look and how they held up. And that is one of the reasons I wanted to open this up. It's got that reversible box art. The Switch game is a little bit loose in here, but it's a cartridge. It's not like subject or prone to getting scratched. So I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, you can flip the artwork around. Here, let's go ahead and before we flip it around, let's get a good look at this. God, that looks really nice. That is gorgeous. I guess maybe it's not intended to be a reversible cover. You know, it's maybe just a little splash, because you can see it without flipping it around. Sometimes when it's intended to be a reversible, it would have the title on it still, but that is really nice. Something that I kind of wanted to just summarize real quickly here is that it seems like there's a couple of different trim levels that Red Art Games does, where it's
really just like a single one-off game, kind of like what you would pick up at a Target or a Best Buy, where it's just the game and the case, nothing super special. I mean, it's all in good quality, but then they also have additional trim levels of games where they might include manuals, reversible covers, those sorts of things where they might throw in a soundtrack. So make sure you check out what they are selling before you buy, just to make sure you're getting what you want. One of the other things that stood out to me as I was looking through the Switch games is how kind of standardized they kept things, and I really appreciate that. Like when I have them up and together in like little stack there, it has the little Red Art Games logo at the bottom of the spine, and you can see which ones are Red Art. It kind of reminds me of my Working Designs games on Sega CD and Sega Saturn, where you can spot which ones they did. I really appreciate that. Little attention to detail just kind of makes it feel like a more cohesive overall collection of games,
And I'm really curious about more of like the special editions. So I'm really glad that they sent me this as well. Okay. So inside, looks like they could probably have used maybe a spacer, because I can feel maybe the Switch game inside here. I'm assuming it's a Switch game that is moving from side to side. Yeah, it's the Switch version of the game. But that's all right. Stuff like this is very bespoke, where you have to actually make the game box. Is like a lot of these other releases, just using the standard Switch box is very straightforward. It's easy. Making your own product box to hold your additional items is a bit trickier. And I wanted to get a feel for this as well. It smells nice. It smells like old video games or new video games. Opening a brand new video game when they came in a cardboard box like this feels very nice. It's got a couple of these little indentations here. I'm not a huge fan of them. I'm sure that they've served some sort of purpose, but it seems like whenever you open a box that has those little slits here and here on the edges here, it feels like they get kind of caught more often. And I don't love that. So you got to be careful when trying to open it up and see if you can do it without snagging some of the cardboard there. Alright, so when I open it up and look down inside, yeah, it looks like there is a little bit of room here. It's, again, not a big deal, but it allows for a little bit of room for things to slide around. Oh, that's got the steel box. Okay, we're going to take a look at the steel box here in a second. Let's go ahead and pull everything else out as well. That's everything inside of the Super Nintendo style box. We've got the original soundtrack included with a cardboard sleeve and a track list on the back of that. I think what I might do is put that inside of a little jewel case of my own, just to help keep it a little more easily accessible when it's not being stored away inside of the actual original box. Oh, we've got a pretty big old poster here, it looks like, for Arietta of Spirits. That's got a nice thick cardstock to it. Not cardstock, but it's thicker than standard poster paper, I believe. Published by Red Art Games, developed by Third Spirit Games. That is some nice artwork on the front and back, so it's a reversible poster. I think that looks really awesome. Ah, that is super rad. The steel box is one that has definitely acquired my interest here. The outside is different box art entirely from the non-steelbook edition. Oh man, and that is very pretty. And we have custom artwork on the inside as well. And then this would be the standard edition of Arietta of Spirits if you got it without the collector's edition. And there it is. So some of the artwork is repeated here from the steelbook, or maybe some of this artwork was used on the steelbook version of the case, but That is really very cool. It's got the artwork a little bit obfuscated by that disclaimer again on the inside. I don't love that. I would probably prefer the piece of paper slip, but that's not bad. And this is a game that has definitely caught my interest as well. And to see it get a super rad collector's edition like this has me very happy for them. That is really nice. I love that a lot. All right, I'm feeling this at this point. I'm feeling like they're doing some pretty cool stuff. Like, legitimately, and it's only a nitpick, is that it's not even really worth noting, but just that little piece of like square cardboard or something, a spacer in there, would help it not feel like it's sliding around a little bit. And obviously no damage was done while it was sliding around, but it would have been nice. That's all. That is cool. And the cardboard itself feels quality. I still feel like if you're not careful when you're opening and closing this, which hopefully you wouldn't do too often, it could cause little defects in that if that's something that you care about. I mean, if you're a collector who would go out of their way to get this, that would be something I would care about for sure. So you'll want to be careful with that. But the cardstock of the cardboard box is nice. It's a good quality, and I don't feel like I'm in danger of it doesn't feel tacky or anything. Like none of the ink feels like it's gonna come off. It feels solidly put together. That's really cool. All right, I have a couple of things left that I wanted to take a look at still, and that's the vinyls. And I'll give them a listen as well and give you my impressions of the vinyl pressing. I wanted to take a look at this Evoland II soundtrack, which is doesn't look like it's just a disc in here. Like, let's see. Okay. So Evoland II here. One of the discs included. Oh wow, that is very striking. That shade of blue on there is beautiful. I can't wait to give this a listen here soon. This side now folds open. Oh, this is a 3 vinyl set. There's a third sleeve, and here's another. Okay, here, let's go ahead and pull this one out. Is this discs 3, side A, and this is another solid opaque, beautiful red. That's part of why I love vinyls, by the way, is for the additional inclusion of artwork that you can enjoy full screen here. That is really cool looking. Kind of has a little bit of a film grain look to it, like you're almost looking at an older still from a movie or something. Like it doesn't look. Wow, I'm gonna need a bigger table. It doesn't look pixelated. It's just got a little bit of that film grain look to it. And here is disc 2. And disc 2 is a gorgeous emerald kind of forest green.
These soundtracks came out looking really awesome. I love how there was like a red, green, and blue one for Evoland 2, and Evoland 1 here came with a yellow one, so it feels like they were kind of all a cohesive set. And then there's this like color splash version for Mooseman that just looks so, oh, it's gorgeous. It's got greens and wooden colors and stuff. It looks thematically on point with the game Mooseman. And all in all, the records all sounded really nice and they all played very nicely. You know, there was really only one issue that I had, and I'll talk about that here in a second or two, but overall, they know how to make vinyl.
I can say that after listening to these vinyls, I've got some thoughts. And what my thoughts are is that the original Evoland soundtrack, it could use some work. Honestly, it sounded fine, but there were some issues that arose from just the overall listening experience. They included tracks, but when that tracks would end, because it was looping music in Evoland, it would just cut out just like that. And I feel like as a record listening experience, that's suboptimal. And I think this must have been probably one of their first vinyls that they did, because the other two were outstanding in comparison. Evoland II, for instance, it fades in between the various tracks as you listen, so it's got a little bit of that crossfade or some of that fade out before the next one would start playing. And I love the Evoland II soundtrack. It's 3 discs, and disc number 3 blew my mind. It is phenomenal. I can say that the sound quality was really great. Evoland 1, like I said, I'm of two minds about it, because it sounds great, but just the way that the music clicks out at the end, it's not ideal. So I told you though that these thoughts would be my own, and those are some of my own thoughts. So I would definitely highly still recommend Evoland or Mooseman if you're interested in the vinyls. And honestly, if you're interested in anything that I've shown off today, I would highly recommend you look into them. You can get some really awesome games and some really awesome physical releases. And I've definitely got some games that I am looking forward to trying out. So maybe keep your eyes peeled for maybe some experience points videos for some of these, maybe even full-on the game collection reviews. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what else they have up their sleeve. And actually, I know of a couple things that they've got coming down the pipe, and I think I'm very excited to be working with them on a couple of upcoming campaigns of theirs, so keep your eyes peeled for those too. But anyways, that is it for today. I hope you liked today's video. I apologize for the weird delay, the audio issues that might have been occurring. I'm pretty sure that they were occurring. I'll find out after I edit, but anyways, have a great rest of your day, everybody, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a great day, everybody.